Shirts and skins, let's get it, yo. Shirts and skins and we back again. The best coverage in college sports, we come to win. With Brandon, Mark, and Matt, no one go hard as that. Share it with your folks and they'll learn where it all be at. It's just three of the guys, childhood friends that be setting the vibe. With a few hot takes, jokes, and predictions. Love the Boise State, we now welcome you to listen. Shirts and skins, let's go.
Bronco Nation, what is up? Even if you're not in Bronco Nation, which we know you're out there, we've gotten comments.
You've commented.
Fresno, Oregon State.
A lot of people around the Mountain West have commented.
No BYU.
Yet.
Yeah.
We got to play them again, though.
You are listening to the Shirts and Skins podcast. I'm Matt Lamb, alongside Brandon Meinert, Mark Moss. We've got a special guest with us today, former Boise State wide receiver. Did a little bit of everything, actually. Returned some kicks. Did you throw the ball ever? Did.
Hey,
Shane Williams-Rhodes is with us today, guys.
Hey, all right. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it.
Welcome to the show.
We are going to get to Shane, asking him some questions, talking about, his legacy with Boise State, what he did. But guys, I'm back in town now.
Hey, all right. Welcome.
That's the important part.
That's the important part.
We sent you to the Olympics for coverage.
I was the correspondent that went to the
On
Olympics.
site.
Taylor Whitney filled in for me last time. Thanks to Taylor. I was in Europe.
How was it?
It was great.
Yeah. You went to the Olympics.
Went to the Olympics, not in Paris, though. I went to Lyon, France. Saw Spain play Japan, men's soccer. Spain kind of cleaned up 3-0. So they don't, so ice, not big fans of ice in your drinks.
Tipping.
Yeah, tipping is great.
They want tipping.
They'll take tipping now?
No. It's not as bad as our culture here.
Right.
Where it's like flip the iPad around.
Yeah.
Air conditioning
Not happening.
or fans.
Not happening.
You just kind of deal with it.
Are they showering more regularly
Europe.
now? Because when I was living in Europe, it was like they thought we were crazy. Us Americans showering every day. It was like more. It's really. It was
Really?
yeah, they thought we were
Showering is
Where's-
normal.
every day,
Digressing.
daily.
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't going around sniffing people or
You'd know.
or checking
You'd know.
up on their showering schedule.
Right, good point.
One thing, I was in Germany, about an hour or so outside of Frankfurt. The trash situation.
What do you mean?
What I mean by that is like, not that it's trashy or
Yeah.
anything, but your food. So let's say you eat dinner, you're cleaning up, right? You scrape all of the food stuff, all the like
Into like a compost?
yeah,
Yeah.
into like a separate bin.
Okay.
And there's no disposal in the sink.
Oh, that's a problem.
So it just sits in this
a big
bag under the sink or wherever you have it
Until the trash.
until
time.
the trash comes. Well, bugs get in there.
Yeah.
It stinks. So
Europe.
it's clean. But anyway, but I'm back. Happy to be here.
Welcome back.
Love to see your shining faces.
I had to do it all last week. Mark was no help, or last time.
I'm never any help. I don't.
Mark
I
was
don't
no
do, I'm the
help,
talent, dude.
dude.
You guys figure this out.
Mark's the last one here and the first one to leave.
Mark
just like
Mark
Mark's
made
thing.
notes like one episode. And that
What are you
was
who sent this? What are you talking about? I'm taking over your job.
Welcome
Come on.
back, man. Welcome back.
Come on.
Happy to have Shane here.
yeah.
Appreciate
Thank
you guys.
goodness.
having me.
Yeah, Shane, I gotta say, I hope this isn't offensive in any way,
Uh-oh.
but you were awesome when you were playing, and I wanted so badly, like me and my buddies when we were watching you play, we wanted the moniker, the nickname, the law firm to stick for you because like your name was so perfect, Shane's Williams-Rhodes, and everybody said it every time. It just like was perfect, and there were so many ways you could prosecute a game, you could object to I mean, there's just like so many things.
Injury lawyer.
Did you ever hear that at all or no?
I heard a lot of names.
It was
throughout the
great.
years.
They never called you the law firm.
Never heard that one.
Oh.
That's a first.
That's just today you're hearing that because we
I
referred to you as that.
I loved it.
Never heard that.
Yeah. What are you? You're not an attorney now, are you?
I am not. You know, I would have loved to be one. I'm not quite fond of reading a ton. So
Yeah.
I got thrown out.
That's a problem. What do you like? So maybe give us an update. You have an awesome podcast.
Well, appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been good. Just being at Boise State, formed a good relationship with Jay over the years, just doing all the interviews. And, I know when Pete was there, he was big on, telling us build relationships.
Yeah.
And so that kind of formed while I was there. And so me and Jay he called me up one day, and I think it was about 2016. And I was coming back, finishing up school, and so we started doing just a pregame show. So I would go on the field for the game, and away games we go to the studio, and then that kind of turned into the podcast. And so I guess I've kind of been in this lane for now 8 years.
Wow.
Which is kind of weird, but yeah.
What are you up to outside of podcasting and growing masses of fans and everything?
Trying to stop having kids, man.
How many kids do you have?
Got 2, and it's two is enough.
Two's enough.
Yeah. I told my wife.
Mark has 2.
I have 2. Two's
I've
good.
got
We're
4.
done.
I've got 4. Brandon's got 4.
Yeah.
I told my wife we will never run a zone defense in our house.
It's all man to man.
Man coverage.
And we
Too
are
deep?
Good. Yeah. If we got to go to zone.
No, you don't want to get double teamed with your kids. Like it's a problem.
By the way, in Europe, stayed with my wife's sister's family. 6 kids. 11 is the oldest.
They have
11's
6?
the
Or
oldest.
They have
plus
6.
So you're 4
plus
and
my
they're
4.
And you guys were in one house?
Yeah.
Isn't it big
There's
house?
9 bedrooms.
Well, they're in the military, right?
9 bedrooms.
They're in the military.
The kids probably loved it.
They have a
did.
9-bedroom house
Yeah.
on the
That's
military
wild.
base?
No, it's 20 minutes away or so.
Okay. Wow.
That's in Ramstein or
Is
or
he a
outside
doctor?
Ramstein?
Landstuhl is where the base is. Lambsborn is the village.
Oh,
or the
there you
city.
go.
Lamb's born.
So Lamb.
Is he a
yeah.
doctor in the military?
Yeah.
That's what my dad did.
Yeah.
Kuntz
In
did
Germany.
that. In Germany.
Yeah.
Didn't Kuntz do that?
Yeah,
in
the same place.
All
Same
right.
thing.
We know a lot of people.
We
doing
know
that.
about it, yeah.
Cool. We
So
should
you
have
got-
done that. So Shane.
You got 2 kids,
Yep.
Yeah, 2.
and that's a full-time, obviously.
Yeah. Well, me and my wife are both business owners. So
Okay.
Oh, cool.
That obviously makes it even more complicated.
Yeah.
because there is no really work hours. It's kind of like it's always
All
work
the time.
hours. Yeah.
In fact, I think I just got an invoice from this guy like a half an hour ago. So it is all.
It's just always will go. Luckily for me, mine is more of I work on like a teacher schedule versus what she does, and so hers is real deal business from top to bottom.
That's cool.
And so yeah.
So what do you do?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about it.
So essentially I run a football academy. So if someone was to move here from, I guess, California, we could use that.
Yeah.
We get a ton of those.
Yeah.
California?
What?
Never heard of that.
If you get someone to move and they're looking, to get their kid in football,
Yeah.
essentially with our football program, year round, there's something outside of an actual season, which over the years that might change, but outside of the actual season, there's always something that we have that they can be doing to get ready for whatever it is. If they do 7-on-7, if they play spring, I know here a lot of guys play tackle in the spring. I'm not huge on it, but yeah, we have something for everything, whether it's clinics, it's training, it's camps. We have our own 7-on-7 program. I think we're going on year
In Boise?
year 3 or 4, yeah.
Where's it at?
We're based basically in Meridian, so we practice in Meridian. It's kind of central to everyone because we have kids that go to Boise High. We have kids that go to Valley View. We have kids that are in the east. So we have like a Skyline pipeline, it seems like. We have Skyline kids, we have Rigby kids.
Really?
They travel up.
Well, I think was Gatlin Bear with you guys?
Gatlin's one of ours.
Yep.
Kenyon Sadiq, he's one of ours. He's at Oregon.
Wow.
He started. Oh, he didn't start last year.
You're just
He
pumping
played
out
as-
D1 athletes over there.
Played as a freshman last year. He's
Wow.
behind, Ferguson, who's returning for like his 6th year, but yeah, he's a guy. Look out for him this season.
Is he a receiver or a corner?
So he's a tight end.
Okay.
But he's so dynamic. He's a guy, like in the spring game, he ran a jet sweep. So he's a guy that was 227 pounds in high school, 6'3", and as a junior he ran a 10.8. So that he didn't run high school track his senior year. He left for Oregon early. So that tells you how explosive. he is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you move your mic up to your
can.
yeah?
So what age do you start them at?
Well, I start at 7. Yeah.
Okay.
So I got some little guys out
Yeah.
there. And you'd be surprised, man. You teach them young, it just sticks and they just keep building on it versus, I know me personally, the thing I focus on the most on the business side is the training. And so I didn't start doing it until my 10th grade year. And I don't even think my parents knew I trained. I just found the guy who was doing it.
You talking about training, like weight training, or like the stuff that
football
we're talking
training,
about?
yep.
Okay.
So like kind of, yeah. So like what Camden comes out
Yep.
and do.
So my son had this past season was on their 10-year,
Yep, 10U.
10U 7-on-7, but then he does trainings with Shane like Shane's doing them a couple times a week.
That's awesome.
And he's not always there, but we get him to some. And he's doing it. It's awesome.
Your kid's not always there, or Shane's not always there?
Shane's always there. My kid's not always there.
know,
But we
but
try and get him out there. But it's been super cool. I mean, he
to
works
that
on their
point-
footwork, handwork,
So
all
to that
that.
point, so I grew up playing football in Boise, or I guess at Eagle. We went to Eagle.
State champs.
State champ. Hold on, 2002. State champ. No big deal. No big deal.
Check the tape.
The video's
check
on
tape. We got
YouTube.
it. We'll have a click here if you want to see a highlight reel. And after football, that was it. Like after football season ended, that was it in Idaho. There was no specialty training programs. There was the
Like you do
football-
track.
You would do track, and all the football coaches were on the track because they made you do it. And then there was the weight room, and that was it.
Yep.
And then in the summer, we did some 7-on-7.
With your high school.
Yeah, with the high school, that's it. And so, you know, it was which was great. It was, you know, if you want to be nostalgic, it was nice because it wasn't all year round. And my parents, you know, you could go do things and now it's a lot more serious. But it was really needed in Idaho. We didn't have a lot of players go up to higher division football because I don't know where you were from, but in larger cities,
Texas.
Oh, you're from Texas. Okay.
Yeah, so
That's very serious place.
Yeah, so that actually
Yeah.
is what helps. So me and the person I do the football academy with, he's from California, Just Jackson. And so obviously in Texas, football is year round.
Yeah.
There is no, I think when I was in high school, it was only Texas that was the only state that did spring football with the high school where you could actually tackle. In California, they do it, but they don't tackle.
So 2 seasons.
No contact. So you do spring football. It's offense versus defense the entire time. It's like you're a separate team because you do defensive meetings, they do offensive meetings. Most of the time, no one goes both ways because we have like 60 guys on the freaking varsity. And then, like in Texas, when I was coming through, we had a freshman A team, B team, and then we had a JV team. But our JV team had an A and a B team. But depending on who you were playing, they could have a C team. And so then we would allow the kids who didn't get to play a lot on B team.
Everyone
they could
played
move to C
football.
team.
Which
So
part
how
of
they
Texas?
start? Houston.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
So it was, seeing that and then coming here, it was different. So I was like, well, I know when I first started training in 2017, my wife I was like, I can't train year round because here that's not a thing. Like, I was like, back home I could do it, but it's different because now you're a little fish in the ocean. So there's tons of guys doing it. But here which is why I started training. I was like, I could do it, but it's got to be like a weekend thing. There's no way I could do it, every day. And we slowly but surely, with the football academy, been able to get to that point. And so,
Are you affiliated with a specific gym or?
nope, no gyms. And so
Okay.
we actually do it at a park. And so
Gotcha.
that was like the most central way to do it. Me, even personally, my wife keeps trying to get me to get a freaking building to train in, but I do not like being limited in space.
Yeah.
Because when I train, sometimes even with the 10-year-olds, it's like sometimes I want you to work on catching the ball, and I want it to come at a high angle.
Yeah.
I need space. So
And when they're goofing off, you're like, go climb that tree. Just kind of jump off that
and
tree. I'll
believe
throw
it
you.
or not,
No
I use
overhead either, man.
I use trees when I train sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes the kids have to stand behind a tree and arms
Oh,
have to go
that's
around
cool.
the tree, working on not catching our body. It's just different things that you can do with unlimited space. So
Yeah.
I like it. I have kids that come out to do returning training, so they want me to teach them how to catch punt returns. So you need high ceilings, obviously, for that kind of thing. So I like being outside. I mean, in the winter, when November hits, I'm outside all the way through. I'm never indoors.
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, I remember tryouts for 7-on-7 this past year. It was like in the snow. They just played and they just training and
good for you guys.
Yeah, for a minute, I'm like, man, I got our 9-year-old out here. I'm like, what are we doing, right? But the reality is, and Shane, I'm sure Shane would, parents, like you said, they want their kids to be. The kids love football. There's a space for it. There's an opportunity for it. And kids are out there, man.
I was wondering why Camden was good. I mean, genetically, the odds are against
Like, it's
but now we
puzzling.
know. You know what I mean? So, the proof's in the pudding right here.
Camden's got a ways to go, but he's getting.
I
He's
mean, if
getting
you
there.
really look at it, so the team Cam played on this year,
They were good.
I think they won 4 tournaments.
They were good.
Wow.
Camden
They
hardly,
They went to different cities. They played against people in Seattle. You played against people in totally different places.
Yeah.
They went to Vegas. We just did a lot of things. Went to Salt Lake. But you look at who's coaching that team. You got a guy who won a Super Bowl, won a Fiesta Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Shane McCullen's their coach.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
you got guys who've done it before teaching them, and then you're starting at a young age, and so you just keep stacking and you just keep stacking. So
What's the name of the company?
Rare Academy.
Rear Academy?
Rare.
Rare. Oh, R-A-R-E. Okay,
Yeah.
so if you want to check them out,
Yeah, what's the website or what? How do they
Rare
do?
Academy, Idaho.
Rare Academy, Idaho. Is that a franchise thing or is
Nope,
it?
it's just us. I'm actually looking into getting some
Franchising
things
There you go.
started here in Houston maybe this year.
Oh, so international headquarters, Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, we're working on some things. I don't know if we'll be able to get it done, but we're gonna try. I got a nephew out in Texas, so it's kind of basically a way for me to get him because he plays with us and he just travels.
Is he the one that just got offered by Boise State?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
He's going into the 9th grade.
Oh, and he got offered as an 8th grader?
He has
Oh, wow.
3 offers. He has Baylor. He has
Wow.
Oklahoma, and he has Boise State.
Just
Right
some
on.
small schools that have them on the radar.
So it's going good. So I kind of want to
Wow.
be able to. I'm obviously here, so I can't do much. But he comes up with me, spends a month every summer with me, entire month of July every summer before he goes into football. He trains, he lifts.
Probably nicer here in July than it is in Houston
Yeah,
to
and then
train.
he lifts, and so he's a big kid. He's like 5'11", 185.
Yeah.
So it's good.
9th grade.
It gives him a way to get away from the distractions that are there in Texas. And he's just here, and he's up with the high school. We're there from about 7 to 9. He gets about 2 hours off, and then he's training for about another 2 hours. And then when about 2 o'clock hits, he's done for the day. He can, if he wants to go play video games, I'm fine with that. But he's gotten 4 hours of work in every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Brandon, just think how good you could have been with Shane's help, man.
Sometimes I think if I was big, like listening to Shane talk about some of the guys he's coaching, I wouldn't have made it. It's just sometimes you're like, if I was taller. But I think what it would be is if I was taller, faster, and better, I may have had
You
a
would have been
chance.
fine. You would have been
I may
fine.
have had a chance to do it.
I mean, that'd
but
be a good combination.
I don't
The
know.
reality,
Maybe.
he's coaching all sorts of guys, though, right?
That's cool.
Guys that just want to play on their varsity team too, right? You know, so it's all levels. But
That's
he's doing a good
much
job.
needed. That's awesome. I know. I bet you some of the BSU coaches are like, train that guy.
Oh, it's good
like
'cause,
train
we get
him.
to send
Yeah.
our kids typically at least twice a year. We send all of our kids up to BSU.
Yeah, camps
high
and
school
stuff.
Kids, so they go on visits. They meet all
Yeah.
the coaches and
Yeah.
they talk. I think we have quite a few kids that have BSU offers right now.
I was
That's
thinking about that. So, you know, not that we were going to go here, but we'll go here. So, like in the NIL world, you know, we hear a lot about, these schools are reaching out to families and clubs, 7-on-7 coaches, right? And you being a trainer, not
true
to,
point. Yeah.
like, do you get some of those people in your ear, like, hey, to get involved in some of those types of situations?
For sure. I mean, we could use Gatlin, for instance. The Oregon's receivers coach was my receivers coach when I was in
Junior Adams, right?
Oh, Junior's
That's
he's
my guy. He was
okay.
actually here in Boise 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Spent a few days with him. But, so he was at the process. I guess we can go back to Kenyon even. So when he was recruiting, we sent Kenyon up there, and he was like, I don't think I'm going to offer this kid. I just want to see him, in person. And I had already told him this kid's probably one of the best receivers I've seen since, Matt Miller, like ball skills wise. And so he's like, okay,
That's a
he
good
heard me.
comparison.
He heard me, but
Yeah.
he's like, I'm not probably gonna offer him. I just want to see him. That was at like 7:30 in the morning, and then the kid comes on a visit. I get a call at 8:30. He said, "Why didn't you tell me this kid was this big?" I'm like, I've been telling you, dude. And the kid walked away with an offer, and so it's just like having those relationships because tons of guys I played with, or even coached me, they're still all around.
Yeah.
I mean, last year I went to the national championship because 4 of the coaches from BSU were at Washington.
Yeah, Lee Marks.
A guy that I played with was the running back GA. So I was able to sneak my way on in there, and it was in Houston. So I was like, I'll just go back home, play the game, fly right back out.
Would you have an interest in coaching?
Absolutely not.
No.
No college.
Yeah.
I
Really?
remember so my wife danced. She was the captain of the dance team when I was at Boise State. And so she kind of was very involved to see how the lifestyles are for the coaching world. For college, it's just
That's brutal.
16-hour days. And everyone assumes like when the season's over, you get a little time at home.
No.
Once the season's over, you have from December to the first week of February to recruit the guys. Like you finishing up your recruiting class. So you're on the road.
And your own team now,
You're
right?
on the road. Well, typically
yeah.
it's more with the strength.
No, I
staff.
mean like recruiting your
Now
own
you gotta
team
get
with
your-
the transfer
so
portal and all that
then
stuff.
that wasn't even a thing yet.
Right.
But it's like you're gone. Then February, you're finally back, right? Spring football starts.
Yeah.
So now you're in spring football. You're back into that. Spring football ends. And summer hits. I think they get 4 weeks to actually, off away from the players. And then now fall camp starts in July. When I was in school, it started in August. So they're back in it. So there's never really a time where
Would you do it if you didn't have to recruit?
it's not even necessarily the recruiting aspect. It's the time away from family, And so especially with what I do, because there was a time where I got offered a position to go to BSU, but the first thing they told me is I wouldn't be able to do the football academy because all the kids I work with are recruitable.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, that's a violation. And so you can't be on the staff and be working with high school players. And so I was like, yeah, it's not worth it, especially with the time and all that.
Yeah.
And, of course, my wife, after telling me for 10 years, like, I would never want you to do that, said, you should do it. And I'm like,
Oh, she did say that? She
I'm
saw
like-
like the contract? Is that what
I'm
she
like,
saw?
we are barely staying afloat as far as time goes, just
Yeah.
running around, getting kids here and doing all this kind of stuff. You want me to take more time out of the day to go do that. So
It would be tough.
really
and even, I remember when Harsin left Auburn, we all thought, okay, that's not a bad deal because you get this massive contract, you're guaranteed, and if it doesn't work, you come back out west.
Exactly.
Are you on Twitter? Is anybody on Twitter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see when Harsin posts?
free, man.
He
He's
gets
free.
eviscerated by Auburn fans. Every time he posts, he'll post like, "Man, what a great day!" And they're like, "You suck. You're the worst. Like, I can't believe you're
absolutely
even
saw one
there."
this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He reposted Kirby Smart's post.
Yeah.
And
That one.
Auburn fans are just the first to
They
comment.
won't let him
It's
go.
brutal.
They won't let him go.
He's just trying to be inspirational, and
Yeah.
they're taking shots.
It's like you look at it, and you're like, "That's a lot of money." But
was
at
it
the
worth
same
it?
time, I don't know. I don't know. Look what they did
he
to his
took home
family.
20. Yeah.
Look
so
what they did to his family. They tried to say
They
he had an affair with something. I mean, it's worse than politics.
Dude.
That's worse than politics.
Auburn,
I don't know.
It's bad. It's bad. Well, you're from Texas. It's a different deal down there, right?
It is. It's serious. It's a real deal.
Man, I don't know. I just wonder if he would have won that Alabama game if that would have given him reprieve on some of the Twitter comments because he was right there. That anyway. Going back to coaching, you pay. You're getting paid a lot, but you work hard for that.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no like going home and leaving it there.
Well, the toughest thing too is like a Matt Miller, and not any of the position coaches. They're making good money. Don't get me wrong; it's good money, but it's not
life changing.
life-changing money for the amount of work you're doing. So they're working what they're working now, so they can get the OC job or the head coach job, right?
The Bush
You
Hampton
can't.
at
Yes,
Kentucky.
yeah, exactly. Now that's life-changing money, 1.5 million, but $200K a year, great money. Don't get me wrong, but boy, for 16, 17 hours, that's tough.
And I think the pressure too, right? There's everybody watching you. Like if you go home early, there's no going home early. It's like I slept in the film room or whatever, right? It's like you got to put in more time.
The worst part is this was, I think, the deciding factor for me. You can go to Boise State, take that job, and you guys win 2 Fiesta Bowls back to back. Guess what? You no longer live in Boise.
Yeah.
You're probably
Yeah.
at Auburn.
Yeah.
You're at Auburn, right?
Yeah.
You're promoted. Or you 2 years at Boise State and you win 8 games or 7 games and you're fired.
You can't
so
stay
now
there
where
anymore.
do you go? What is
Yeah.
the path that we
You're
take
not
now?
long-term here
There
as a
is-
wide
That's a good
receiver.
point.
It's almost
really-
anywhere, you know?
Yeah.
You've seen guys leave Oregon to go to Florida State. It's just like no matter where you go, it's always.
And is your wife from here then?
Yeah, she's from
She's
here.
from here. Okay. Her parents are here then as well.
Yeah, her whole family
Okay,
is here,
so
and then my whole
community.
family's
You
in
guys are kind
Texas.
of locked in here somewhat.
Yeah, we can't go anywhere.
I hear
especially
you.
in businesses.
Right on.
Well,
It's a good place to be locked in.
What's
though,
her?
right?
We got to ask. What does she do?
So she owns a dance studio. So she,
cool.
It's been a process.
What's
for
that called, or where's
The
that
Spot
at?
Dance
Rare
Studio. It's
spot.
out in Nampa.
oh, damn.
Oh, it's in Nampa. Okay.
Yeah, so she did. We both majored in business.
Mm-hmm.
We finished that out. We both started businesses, so it obviously worked out. We took
Yeah.
the right
Yeah.
career
Yeah,
path,
good for
but
you guys.
I remember her first year in 2017. She had 23 kids
Yeah.
in her studio. I think now she has
Wow.
about 375.
Good.
375.
So
Dance is not cheap either.
Yes.
I had a kid that danced for a while. Yeah, so
she
she's
travels
awesome.
also. So when January hits,
You guys are busy.
there's times where she's in Seattle for the second to last week because she goes to the same stuff, and then I go to Seattle the next week. And then a week goes by, I'm in Arizona. Then a week goes by, she's in Denver. So we're both just in and
lot.
out, in and out, in
Cool.
and out.
So they're probably doing like all sort of hip hop, contemporary, all the
of
types.
it,
Okay.
yep.
All right. So yeah, Nampa. If you need a dance studio, what's it called again?
The Spot.
The Spot. All right.
Do you mind if I go back to training? Your
Go
training.
for it.
What has changed with NAL when you're talking to just say a hypothetical kid that you're training that has some offers from D1? Do they talk about, or do you talk about, hey, this program's willing to spot you 100,000 or 200, or they may have better chances at NIL? I mean, how has that changed?
With it being so new, I'll say this. I think the first one, we haven't really had that super effect because as a kid, they aren't really as more concerned with the money. I feel like a lot of times it's the parents. Parents are just like, oh, well, they give us this. But the kids are more like, well, wanting to go to Michigan, so I want to go to Michigan. It's not really a thing now. It's obviously an additive if Michigan's giving you $500,000 or whatever.
Is that realistic?
It affects the kids a ton.
Is that realistic for them to say we'll give you $500,000 to like a Gatlin Blair? So I'm not sure if they have or not.
I think it's the 1% that gets those.
Yeah.
And it's not a ton of 1%. We're getting there. I mean, I feel like the last 2 years we've had a guy in the 1%. I mean, look here this year a rare guy might actually be the first tight end taken off the board this year. Michigan starting tight end Colston left.
Oh, he worked with you guys too?
Yeah. So
Oh, he was a rare guy. That's awesome,
talked to him
man.
this week. He's supposed to be.
Oh, congratulations.
A guy coming. Supposed to
I
be
mean,
number one.
with that kind of resume, how can you not go work out with Shane?
work
You
out
got
rare,
it, man. That's
So,
sweet.
yeah,
That's
those
incredible.
kind of things are what's good because other kids in Idaho are starting to see. Oh, we can actually.
Here's the other
get out.
question.
That's awesome, man.
Here's the other question.
Well, congratulations.
Come on,
bro.
Shane. All these top guys we're talking about, Oregon, Michigan. When's one of your top guys going to end up at Boise State?
I think the recruiting process, the way Boise State works, is they are so like you'll get Oregon who offers maybe 90 scholarships a year or whatever it is, but you only can take 30 somewhere in that area. But Boise State doesn't offer 90 kids a year. They offer closer to 35, 40, and they build a relationship with those guys, and they want to know who they are. And it's back to the Pete days with the OKGs. And they're really, really specific on how they go about it. Yes, sometimes it can hurt us because if Utah has offered before Boise State has, it's really tough for a kid's mindset to go from, I got a Pac-12 offer, which now is a Big 12. But, it's kind of hard to say, I got a Power 5 offer, Power 4.
We keep
So
changing this.
how do I go back to thinking, I can go to Boise State?
Right.
I always wanted to go to Boise State. So it's when you do that, yes, you're creating better relationships and you're getting kids that you want, but there's kids locally that we tend to miss on because of just our process, which I get it, but it's a two-way street,
Will it? I mean, is Boise State worried about the future as far as the separation with
the divide from the haves and have-nots?
Do they ever talk about that? I mean, you don't have.
I haven't heard of it,
Yeah.
but obviously, if you have a Twitter, you see it all the time.
Yeah.
Where fans are really concerned about us getting in somewhere, and with everything just changing so much so rapidly, it's tough to tell. But as long as we have that bid, we always have a shot. That's always been our thing.
What do you want to see? I don't know if that's a. If
That's a
we're
good
gonna,
question.
What do
Yeah.
you want to see college football in 10 years? What would you?
The amount of change that I've seen in the last 3 years, it's hard to even say what is possible because who would have thought that the Pac-12 with 4 teams in the top 15 would no longer be a conference? It was actually probably the best the Pac-12 has looked in 20 years.
Conference of Champions.
And now it's gone. So, I don't even, it could change and only be a 3-team, it could be a 3-conference deal. And, ACC could now divide all the way into the other 3 and you just have 3. It's just no way to tell what's going to happen.
Would you be okay if it turned into semi-pro football?
It's kind of already there, right?
Yeah, I mean, where the players are employees or,
I think that's going to happen if it's not technically because I think they just approved something
Yeah,
where
they did.
you now are
powerful,
you're an employee of the
Well, not an
of the
employee, but
school.
they have to pay a certain revenue share with them. So it's kind of there.
Yeah, it's kind of there. So that's what I said. It's just so much change, and half of us don't even know all the new rules and stuff that are coming intact. I know they're trying to limit NIL, but you just open the floodgates. So I don't know how you're going to go back and
Is
tell
that
kids that.
Is that exciting? Is it sad that the tradition of college football is going away?
It's tough, because you always hear people complain 10 years ago, how is it that Johnny Manziel made A&M all that money and he didn't get anything?
Yeah.
Obviously, what we saw in the documentary,
he got a little something.
He was getting something, and the same with Reggie Bush. Obviously, that might not have been the deal there, but at some point he got something,
Yeah.
I think Lindell White came out and said one time he went to a hotel and there was just a bag of cash there.
Yeah.
But it happens. But so it's it's a catch-22, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel should have definitely been compensated. I think they built an entire new stadium.
Yeah.
The revenue they made off Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
They can hold 100,000 now in their.
So us fans, I guess now you're a fan of Boise State. I mean, you're an alum. We're all alum, but you actually were an alum of the football program. But do you have concerns as far as specifically to Boise State, where we are, not necessarily now, but as we look to the future, are we going to be, because some of our fears are we going to be able to compete, right? Are we going to be able to get the kids that can make the wins at Oregon or Washington or Oklahoma, whatever possible? Is there any concern for you that the divide might be so wide that we're relegated to almost an FCS level? Is that ever something you thought about?
Because of the transfer portal, it kind of evens it out a little bit. I mean, I went to practice, I think, when my nephew was here 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And left and right, I'm just like, I haven't seen this much firepower at receiver.
Really? Yeah.
In a while. I mean,
that's what I want to talk about.
At least since you played.
I think they said we got the number 1 JUCO receiver out of the portal.
How'd he look? Chris Marshall, right?
Guy went to Ole Miss. I mean, like I saw that kid and I was like, okay, yeah, he's a dude.
Yeah.
You know? But he's obviously just getting there. He's just trying to get everything figured out. But we have guys, and it's like we have explosive guys, guys that can catch it and make plays after the catch. So I think those kind of things level it out a little bit because you get Georgia who gets 5 or 10, 12 5-stars, but 12 guys can't play.
Yeah.
So those guys leave and go to other places, and then that's when you get, that guy that can make a difference for us, but he wasn't going to be able to ever play at Georgia.
So it goes both ways, basically, is what you're saying. I think we kind of always worry about, our best players are going to leave, but maybe don't think about that.
Well, you see what happens to like a Utah State or an Idaho or just in you.
They
that's
get
a problem.
decimated.
Speaking of 5-star, there's a 5-star player that in high school, 5-star player, I guess that's the only type of star ranking that they currently have. What are your thoughts if you were watching Malachi Nelson and Mad Dog? That's the big, topic prior to the first game. What were your thoughts on that? Or have you seen them play very much? Or
yeah, Malachi can sling it, man.
Eddie?
Yeah, but then you look at the other end that every time Mad Dog's been in the game, he's did what he's asked.
Yeah.
I think they got a tough situation on their hand. I mean, you got to please the fans, but you got to also do right by the kids. I'm glad I'm not coaching.
Hopefully the solution to that problem isn't to play both of them like they did last year.
Yeah, I mean, then you have Cutter, so it's I don't know.
That's why I think that's the ace in their hole because, I think obviously fans, 9 out of 10 fans want to see Malachi play, right? That's what everyone.
Well, he's the guy on NCAA, the football game.
Playing.
And every national writer is saying that Malachi Nelson. And the reality is Malachi Nelson hasn't taken we don't know what happened at the scrimmage, but up to the scrimmage, Prater and Johnny reported last week that Malachi Nelson had not taken any first-team reps during team periods yet in camp, 2 weeks in.
They did
which tells us
yesterday, though, he did.
In the scrimmage, right? So, I mean, up to this point, up until the scrimmage, you'd think Mad Dog kind of has the start. But what I'm getting to is Cutter. I think if you have an inexperienced offensive coordinator or one that did what they did last year with Bush Hamden, not to bash on Bush, but that situation last year.
To do that now.
Okay.
Yeah, Brandon and him, he doesn't have a crush on him anymore.
I love Bush. I love that guy. I
loved
him.
I will say, no one's going to. I mean, there will be idiots on Twitter or whatever that are going to complain if Mad Dog's a starter. But, Cutter was an NFL head coach.
He's the best.
We just have to accept that he's doing right by the team, I would think, right?
I think no matter who they put back there, they're going to be put in a situation where they're going to be – I mean, there's no better situation to be in.
I agree with
I'm going to say is the best running back in college football, and you have a coach who's literally known for running the ball. I mean, you got what you got – Maurice Jones-Drew. I mean, they're just same type of offense. He's going to rely on the run game. I love to hear that when you have a guy like that in the backfield. But that quarterback is not going to come in and have to worry about a ton of coverage being the problem because those boxes are going to have to be stacked.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going to be set up for success, but the problem is your lease is going to be short because you have another guy who can play too.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what happened last year, when things got a little rocky, he just made the switch,
They didn't really just make the switch.
Yeah, they
kind of
did.
Was
the hard part was, so we talk about it where it's like, okay, you have the foundation, and we hope the line is good, and they seem like they were doing pretty good last year, and you have But then you add in some weapons, like your tight end's doing pretty good. And you have Strawn and Marshall or Bolt. And you have all these guys, and Caples is back, and all these guys. And last year we had an issue like hitting the deep ball or hitting across the middle. But if you can just get it to them and not have a lot of interceptions, like, man, it could be.
I think last year your biggest
incredible
problem was
year.
your continuity. You had your best receivers outside of McAllister. You got to omit that. But you had a freshman, and you had Bolt, who's also might have been a redshirt freshman. Like, you got young guys out there, not a lot of reps. You got quarterback switching every time.
Yeah.
It's just kind of hard to build continuity with that.
Yeah.
Can I put you on the spot, Shane?
What you got?
If you had to put money right now, who do you say it plays the majority of the season? Like, even if Mad Dog wins the fall camp or whatever, wins the spot, do you see him continuing, or do you see like Malachi emerging?
So
from the little,
everything is going based off of Mad Dog starting this season.
Oh, I think that's an assumption.
That's an assumption.
Okay. All right. So if we're gonna say he's gonna start, I don't think he's going to struggle necessarily, but I think it's going to go back to the short leash. It's going to come back to, okay, we need a guy that can make some big throws, some that just has that athleticism like that. Obviously, Malachi's athleticism is a lot different from his, and I think like when you play Oregon, who's probably a top 5, top 10 team right now, you're going to need that. You're going to need a difference maker, and so we could possibly see him come in. Now then, if he comes in and makes those plays and we're able to knock off Oregon, or we're able to keep it close, or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
Now you got a problem with who's going to start quarterback.
Yeah.
You started another guy. This guy came in, made plays. So then you're back where you started last year.
I think the hard part is, like, if you're looking at a quarterback, I mean, you need a strong arm against Oregon because those guys can run fast. And then as the competition changes, Mad Dog's okay. It almost seems that way, right? And you just get the ball to the primary receiver as they're calling the plays, and you should be fine. But I guess we'll see. I don't see the coaches announcing it just because there's no.
They said they would.
Oh, they would.
He said they would. He said he would announce it before the week before the first game.
Yeah, at game time.
No. The week before the first game.
They just don't have much. I mean, there's just not much benefit to them. They're just going to lead on the BJ Rains and the market in the media guys as long as possible, because once you announce it, now there's a dynamic in the quarterback room that's a little different than it is right now because of competition. Not that I know what's going on in the quarterback room right now, but it's kind of that's always the number one thing when there's a new quarterback, like what's going to happen there, because that just dictates your year. I mean, if we have bad quarterback play, we have everything else.
Yeah.
That's just the one question.
I think the second big question, and did you guys watch the post game with Danielson?
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously we're playing against ourselves, right? But he said,
I know what you're going to say,
that the offense had these big, long, explosive passes.
Oh, no.
Is that a good thing?
Problem.
I don't know.
Is that good?
That's a problem.
After what happened last year, I heard that, and that was the first thing I was like, oh.
What do you think, Shane? Is that good or bad?
Man.
I mean, it's good.
Okay.
The receiver's going to say
Yeah,
that.
receiver loves that. Yeah.
I'm ready to see someone have 1,000 yards again,
Yeah, that's true.
Haven't seen it,
But maybe if you're talking on the defensive perspective, maybe if they're getting these passes over their head, that they're not doing it in a game.
Maybe they're learning now.
Maybe they're learning now, and they're like, yeah, that's
we
our
shouldn't
weakness.
do that.
That's a weakness.
Better
Got to watch
happen
out for
now
that.
than later.
Yeah, that was a problem. I wonder, do you get any sense on how the defense is doing? I mean, that was such an interesting storyline last year where they really, really struggled until there was a coaching change, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a little bit better throughout the year, and then Avalos got let go, and then they really shored up quite a bit.
I think you got a lot of guys returning that are going to help us a ton. Some of
Yeah.
those guys are banged up, so that could also play a role. And, guys running
You're saying some of the guys last year were banged up.
that are returning this year, they've even been banged up, coming in. I think I saw Oladipo with a cast on his hand. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to put hands on a guy. You got a cast on your hand.
Yeah.
So.
Need to
Just
wrap it up
things
like
like
Simpson
that,
had last
yeah.
year. Just had a club.
So it's
Smack some
tough,
people.
but I think they got enough guys returning that could help lead. I think the defense is going to be better than it was last year.
What are if you're looking, you follow every game. What are your storylines that you're really cued into this year specifically? Like, what are your biggest areas of interest?
For me, it's to see the passing game get back to what it's always been.
Yeah.
I mean, we've always had great backs. I mean, no matter what, whether we won 9 games, 8 games, 12 games, but I want to see the passing game get back Obviously, I'm a little biased. I do want us to still, rely on the run, but I got to see some explosive plays in the pass game.
So the passing game.
What was your overall feeling of last season? Were you frustrated? Were you like, hey, we won? How many games did we end up winning? 8?
8. We won a championship, but lost more games than we lost since like 99 or something.
Yeah, what was your take as a former player and a little bit of a fan?
I mean, I took it as a success from the standpoint of what happened throughout that season. I mean, they had a coaching change. Obviously, I went through the same thing. You have Pete, and then he leaves, and then go to a bowl game. You have some antics happen at the bowl game. It's tough. I mean, from my experience, when coach change happens, everything is just shaken up because more of the focus is on, like, who's my new coach or who's going to be there, who's not going to be there versus, like, actually the X's and O's. And so, I mean, if you look at us play against Oregon State, that was probably the most discombobulated we've ever been.
So bad.
It was rough. And then, like, you had guys who had been hurt coming back and coaches change. I mean, we were missing, like, 4 or 5 coaches when we went.
Yeah, to Hawaii.
Just the Hawaii Bowl.
Yeah, so it's just that shakes up a lot of things. So for them to do what they did with all of that going on, and they had guys leaving. They had your leading receiver leaves.
Yeah.
You already had a quarterback problem. One of your quarterbacks gets hurt. That's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
So I think it was successful for what they had to work with.
I just got to think it's so difficult. The last 6 years or the last 5 years had 6 offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure how many position coaches changed outside of just that. I mean, our defensive coordinator changed a couple of times. That's just so tough.
And what's weird is that's normal. It's happening.
That's normal now.
I had 4 years that I had 3 offensive coordinators.
Yeah, even back then.
Yeah, it's normal because if you're good, once again, back to the coach,
gone.
you're good, you leave.
Yeah.
We had Mike Sanford. He went to Stanford. Well, he was at Stanford, went to Fiesta Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Left, come to Boise State, went to Fiesta Bowl, left, goes to Notre Dame next year, goes back to the Fiesta Bowl. For 4 years, wins 3 Fiesta Bowls as an OC at 3 different teams. But, yeah, it's tough. But then he leaves, so then we have Eli, who's now the head coach at Missouri. But it's constant. It's constant change.
I've always wondered about that. So you get a coach like Bush just left, okay? Cutter comes back in. As far as like the playbook and like the system and everything, is there like a database? Is there like a computer that has all the plays, the Boise State play, like, or do they just take it with them and it starts fresh? Or what's the continuity like?
I mean, when that coach leaves, he's taking his system with him because that's what he's been successful at.
Okay.
But you also got to realize Stanford, Notre Dame, and Boise State have totally different personnel.
Sure.
So, yeah, when Mike was at Stanford, yeah, he was running some of the same stuff, but they're probably out of heavier packages. You got tight ends.
Big guys.
And then he comes to Boise State. All right, it's more skill guys, so it's a little different, but he still has the base of his stuff. And then when Eli came in, his base was different from Mike's base. I mean, it was stuff he liked to run. And
So, I mean, but like logistically, you guys as players, you guys have iPads or something, and then you get new coach and you got new downloads, or how does that even work?
What they try to do is keep some of the names of what we were doing the same, while it also being different plays. So if on a certain play you have a post and the post is going to be called something different, they're going to try to keep that name to not confuse everyone. You're not learning an entire new playbook. So it might be read out in a different order, but it's a different play. But you know the logistics of it for the most part.
What was your favorite play? If you heard this play called, you
Touchdown
got excited.
play.
Shoot, that's a play that we always knew. Well, I got a play that we ran only once, and it scored. We ran. I can't remember what we called it, actually.
So I love hearing play names because I'm not.
The play names are crazy. You get some crazy stuff out there. And they always try to make, like, the special plays one word.
Yeah.
So you just know the whole play.
Circus
or
whatever.
We ran the fumble risky.
Yeah, that was a good play.
You
That was a
scored
cool
on
play.
it.
I can't remember what it was called, but we just put it in that week and was like, you know what? This DM likes to crash. Let's just see if it works. And it worked.
It did.
Yeah, you have some fun ones out there. They get real creative with it. Sometimes they ask us. Sometimes, the quarterbacks, I think, take a big part of naming the plays. Yeah, and usually they're named after the opponent. So, like, we play Washington State. We had a play called Palouse, try to keep it. So then when you move on to the next week and you put a new trick play in, it'll be named kind of typically after that team.
So you guys kind of have your base plays, right? And then your game planning and taking from other types of plays, right?
Yeah, so every week going in, you'll have your regular base, like your power, your zone, all that stuff. But then you'll have your scheme plays, and it's usually more for the pass concepts. stuff that, like, if this team just likes to run a lot of cover 2, you know, we're going to do a lot of cover 2 beaters, you know, so that's new concepts that are going in for that week. What people don't understand is you could play a cover 2 team and you'll put in, let's say, 16 different pass concepts, like new ones that you haven't been running. And then once you finish that week on Saturday, when you get in on Monday and you get the new install, none of those plays are in.
They're
all
gone.
And now you're playing a cover 3 team. So now it's totally different learning. So you have your base, but you have about 25, 30 plays that are all new.
So how often they call a play and you're like, shoot, I forgot. Like,
Just
I
go to
don't
the
know what I'm doing.
quarterback.
Or does the play call have
Go
like,
find an open spot.
Run around.
no, I mean, that's got to happen some, right?
So everything's we did signals. So it wasn't like that for me after my freshman year. My freshman year, I felt like I was drinking from the water hose. It was pretty bad. Yeah. I didn't think it was going to be that tough, and it was tough because the other thing people don't understand is, we have, 30 different plays that are going in that week, but you also have, like, I think I've counted before, 25 different personnels. Yeah. So we can be in like Falcon personnel, which just tells us we're gonna have three receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back, right? Okay. But they'll say Falcon. So Falcon people will run on the field. So those are just the first 3 starting receivers, the first starting tight end, the first starting running back. Okay. But then they'll say, like, so when I was there, they'll say Falcon 1. Well, that means Jay Ajayi needs to come out of the game. I need to go in at running back because it's Falcon personnel, but I'm number 1, so I need to go to running back. Right? So you're in that. Then you go back to Falcon. Then they'll have a guy that maybe is a freshman or a sophomore and you're trying to get him the ball. They'll have a Falcon 17 personnel. In Falcon 17 personnel, there's only 3 plays that can be run. So
all these guys have to memorize, like, are you memorizing stuff?
Here's where it gets real tricky. So Falcon 17 will have 3 plays. So number 17, who probably doesn't play a lot, when he goes in the game, he knows he's not on Falcon because he doesn't start. Because he's not a backup, but they got 3 plays to get for him. So really, he could know those 3 plays and be fine once he gets in. And if 17 goes down, right, but we still want to run that play, we do like a roll call, right?
Everybody's just seeing who's available.
They'll say Falcon 17 out. Everybody who's a starter on Falcon 17 will step out. They'll say 17's hurt. 17 will step out. Whoever's his backup for that personnel that week needs to know that I now have all those special plays for Falcon 17. I'm getting the ball. You step in. Then they'll say, okay, the H receiver got hurt. Who's his backup on Falcon 17, which might be a different backup than on Falcon regular personnel.
So now I'm understanding why
a lot that goes into it.
Why, like, it's tough for a young, true freshman to come in and play a whole lot more than just a couple.
Oh yeah, Prince tried to simplify it for me. Michigan State was my first game, and I went at 6 plays.
Didn't Prince simplify everything, though?
Well,
I mean, it was like bubble screen.
It's because his thing is he was used to coaching NFL guys. Okay. So he had really complex stuff. So to simplify it, he told me, you need to know these 6 plays. You got Falcon. I was 11 at that point. Yeah, Falcon 11, 2 plays in there. You got Finn's 11, where you got 1 play there. Then you got Falcon Shane, which didn't put me in. Falcon 1 might put me, or Falcon 11 might put me at running back, but Falcon Shane puts me at receiver. So you got to come in and take a receiver out. I need to know 6 plays. So now I didn't have to learn the whole playbook. I was going in knowing, all right, if it's Falcon, and then what they did is Matt Miller, who is, when I say he helped me a ton my freshman year, because obviously he was an All-American his freshman year. So my sophomore year, what he would do is he would take me out to the field. He would be the quarterback. He'd say, Falcon 11's in the game. And then I would go line up, right? He would say, what 2 plays can be ran out of Falcon 11? So I need to know the 2 full plays that can be ran out. And then he'll say, all right, you're out. And then he'll say, Finn's 11. And then it's only 1 play in that. He's like, what play are we going to run? Like, so that way when they called it in the actual game, once they say Finn's 11, it's only 1 play that can be ran. I don't even look at the sideline. Just go and run the play.
Yeah. So you went to study hall with Matt Miller on the field.
On the field, man. It was a ton of help. So we did that. And then after, about a week or 2 of doing that, obviously it grew. So I went from like having 6 plays, then I had 8 plays, then I had 11 plays, and then like my packages grew. Yeah. But what I started doing after that is instead of just learning those, I started learning the other stuff because obviously I know my 8 plays. So then now I'm learning my actual positions that I'll play on the other side. And a lot of guys go in and only learn 1 position, so they might only learn the X receiver. But that X receiver got hurt. So let's put it in terms like, let's say Matt Miller was the X receiver. He got hurt. And even though Thomas Spurback might have been the backup X, they didn't want to put Thomas in. They wanted the guy who was playing Z to go to X.
Yeah.
And the guy that was playing H to go to Z.
different,
And they wanted me to go into H, so they put a different person there, not necessarily his backup.
Yeah.
So you needed to know everybody's position, so that way you could play different positions. Otherwise, if you only knew X, when it was time to go in, they might need you to go play something else.
Do they quiz you? Like, how do they know? I mean, is it just that roll call stuff, or is there like written quizzes, or I mean, is there just in practice they can?
They see the look in your eyes.
Did a lot, I mean,
They're like, nope, you're out.
I did a lot of walkthrough stuff my freshman year. I'm telling you, I didn't want to go out there and not know it. So I always, and Prince was a ton of help too, because he started doing it with me and Matt, and then he kind of weeded himself out and let Matt just take me out there, and Matt just stepped up and kind of.
We talk about Prince. So
We're talking about Robert Prince, by the way.
Robert Prince, not the artist formerly known as Prince.
Or Prince Strong.
Or Prince Strong. When did you come in? With Prince?
with Prince.
So you didn't know
Well,
any of
I
the
think
prior.
Prince might have been there already. Or
He was the wide receivers
yeah, he
coach,
was the right receivers coach, but he wasn't the OC.
and Harson or whoever left.
No, it was Harson left, and then the
Pease
other guy,
there?
Pease. Yeah, Pease went
He
to
left
Indiana,
too.
came back, and then Pease left after Kellen.
Florida, right?
And then, yes, he
Yeah.
went to Florida, and then Prince came in. He had 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was tough because
He got a lot of crap.
he got a lot of crap, and I know, and it kind of, Peterson changed the playbook that, and all the fans were like, that was an amazing playbook. It got us so far. And then I think Prince, I think it sounded like Peterson said, change the playbook, or this is what
Yeah.
we're going
We
with.
tried to go more tempo, it seemed like.
Yeah, that run pass option.
Oh, yeah.
Well, tell us.
was
Why
like a
don't,
big
why don't we have
deal.
Shane tell
lot of
us?
tempo.
What was it?
Because it just struggled. I mean, from a fan's perspective, we're like, wow, we're getting all these delayed games. We're having like problems, and Prince couldn't get him in quick enough, and it was like a lot going on.
It was complex. It's when you have all those personnels. You're switching coaches.
Yeah.
A lot going on. But that was around the time when Oregon was doing the thing where they went to snap the ball within 12 seconds. And so I think they kind of got on that train. Obviously, Peterson was at Oregon at once upon a time.
Yeah.
So probably pulled a lot of stuff from there. And so I think that was kind of the move. Everyone was kind of going to it, the hurry up and just going fast, because speed obviously has changed everything from then to now. So I think that's what they were more leaning on. But you could tell, and it was just the playbook. It's what he had to work with, and that's what we were running. But you could tell, obviously, we had guys because, yes, all those guys left, and people just seem to don't understand this. Yes, they left in 2013, and
The coaching staff you're talking about.
Yeah, that new coaching staff walked in, every position was filled and had a guy, like a dude there ready to go. I mean, just look at it. Matt Miller was the All-American. He got hurt week 3. The next person stepped in, that guy goes for 1,500 yards that year.
That's
Spurbeck.
Yeah.
So it's like they had recruited and had so many guys at every position. Like you had Jay,
Yeah.
you had Thomas, you had Chaz, and everybody had their role. Like Chaz knew he was going to run 12 to 15 post routes.
Yeah.
He knew eventually one's going to get thrown to him. But like you had pieces, and
That's a good
that
point,
coaching staff, when they got in, Chaz wasn't a receiver. They moved him to receiver. He was a
running back?
backup corner.
Yeah.
Oh.
They moved him and said, "Hey, you're blowing off the top. That's your role." And
He was always behind the receiver. He was always like in front of the receiver when he was running
just
deep.
going.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and we just had so many guys that were able just to fill in. The defensive line was deep.
Yeah.
The backers were good.
What made does Spurbeck, was it you or Spurbeck that has the record on receptions in a season?
I mean,
You.
I think Jay just posted it. Yeah, but I think it was like for underclassmen. It was weird.
Okay. But Spurbeck has some sort of, I feel like he has
had
some
a
sort of record, right? Like
Great
receptions.
career, yeah, statistically.
What made him, like, I've seen Spurbeck. He's like a short white guy.
He looks like he would deliver.
He looks like me.
he'd
He looks like
deliver
one of
your
us.
mail.
What was
He
that?
looks like he delivered
Yeah.
your mail.
Yeah. So what made him so special?
His ball skills, and he doesn't look fast. It's like Jordy Nelson. You guys ever? And people always used
Yeah.
to think Jordy Nelson wasn't fast, and then he just run right by him. That's
Yeah.
exactly how Thomas was.
Was it?
He had speed, right?
You think it's just 'cause he's white?
Unconventional speed.
Like, do
Yeah.
you think it's because he's white?
Deceptive
He
speed.
doesn't look anything to part.
Yeah.
Like, he
He
doesn't
does.
have
He
big
doesn't.
hands. He doesn't have, it's nothing, but he is a ball player.
Yeah.
He's a ball
No,
player.
no doubt.
I mean, he goes for 15. I think he had 200 yards in the Fiesta Bowl. 199.
That was a sweet
crazy.
game.
Like,
He had a
he's
great
just-
game.
He's just a dude,
Yeah.
man. I love Thomas. It was, and then you look back at it too, the receiving core we had at that year. It doesn't look like a receiving core you have that'll go win a Fiesta Bowl. It was me, Thomas, and Chaz. Tallest one of us is 5'10".
Yeah.
We're 5'10", 5'9",
Yeah.
and 5'7". Like we just didn't look at it, but everyone just had a role. And,
Yeah.
And we did.
Oh, and Grant delivered the ball incredibly
quarterback
well.
that could run.
Yeah.
Yeah, running back you could give the ball to
Yeah.
25, 30 times a game.
You had some stars coming up on defense that were
Yep.
doing real. That were doing really well.
linebacker
Kamale
core.
Correa, yeah, that was great.
Yeah, we had great DBs. I mean, we had 2 DBs
Yeah.
that were number 1.
Who-
number
what, Kyle
3.
Dion.
Dion and Thompson.
Thompson,
Number
yeah.
1 and
Oh,
number 3
really?
all time Mountain
Yeah.
West in picks.
Wow.
So we had guys all around, but it's like a
Yeah.
lot of people think that staff that came in just all of a sudden made it happen. I mean, the guys were there.
Yeah.
With all those guys, like, all the receiving core that were 5'10" and Dion, the coaching staff were like, I'm loving you guys. Like all the shorter guys, like under 6 feet, come on in, right?
And it's different
like,
now. I go to practice and I'm like, these guys are huge.
Yeah.
We were not this big.
Yeah.
We were not.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
how
you guys played well.
tall are you, Shane?
I'm 5'7".
5'7".
Oh yeah, there's not 157.
Yeah.
The kickers are even freaking 5'10". and I came in. There was a kicker for Cena was like 5'6", 5'5". He was right there with me.
Yeah.
I remember Dale told me when I got in, the equipment manager said, our first day I get all my stuff, and I was like, I can't fit this. He said, well, I'm not ordering mediums. He said, we don't order mediums. I'm like, well, I need a medium. This large.
Small?
Somebody here
I'm like,
needs
this
a
large
medium.
I won't be able to fit until, he said, mediums are for, he said, if you want a medium, you got to play. And so I ended up playing, and then I ended up starting to get some mediums. I got a lot of shirts, though.
Earned your mediums.
I just started wearing now because I can fit them. It's crazy.
Because you're a dad.
Yeah, it's
Well,
crazy.
so actually, do you mind talking about that? I mean, growing up, like you excelled, I'm sure, in high school and all throughout, but you were on the shorter end. I mean, what was that like? Like what?
It never really seemed to me as a disadvantage because I played running back all the way up until my sophomore year in high school. And then when I got to Boise State, went back to running back and played both, right? So it was always hard for people to tackle me because I know I'm faster than you. I know I'm quicker than you. And for you to hit me, you have to break down and go low.
Yeah.
Like, right? So I'm lower to the ground. A lot of the times I was stronger than most of the people that I played against too. So it was always an advantage. I never saw it. I could jump. So it was like, okay, if the ball's high, I can get up there and get it. Like, it was never really a problem. Everyone always seems to think because you're shorter, it's harder. I mean, look at the top 10 receivers in the NFL. It's a lot of guys under 6 foot that are in that. It's
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I know, I mean, you were a true weapon.
Yeah.
They put you anywhere, and they
Yeah.
just had so many ways to use you. But college coaches put a premium on height and weight, and
it's a little different
Speed.
now. I think if I was playing 5-10 years after, it would have been a lot different way it panned out for sure.
Would you make the team now?
Oh, he'd make
Yeah,
the
you
team.
make
I
the
made
team. Come
I
on,
think I
yeah.
made the team.
Well, I just
Falcon.
I'm not saying that to say like you weren't good or whatever, but
Yeah.
I just think like recruiting's different. Obviously, the type of players that are there, you say they're all big, they're all tall.
Yeah.
They are.
So yeah, that's no disrespect to you.
No, I
Obviously,
got you, I
you're an
got you.
awesome player, but
Well, Genty, how tall is Genty?
Yeah, 5'9".
5'9".
yeah.
Oh, he's got
But
2
he's running
inches
back.
on.
He's 5'9".
Yeah. Well, it was cool to see you play for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious too about that. Just to go back, what offers did you have coming out of high school?
So I almost went to Kansas State.
Kansas State?
Wait, was that when Matt? Who's the guy at Kansas State? The
old
big
guy.
guy.
Old
The-
guy.
No, the
He was coming back. Snyder was coming back.
Snyder. Old
who
man.
was the
Snyder.
big guy that
coming
was at Notre Dame and then he went to Kansas State?
No, that's Kansas.
He went to
that-
Kansas. Okay, yeah.
So Kansas State was getting Bill Snyder back.
Okay.
And so their selling point, and this is how I got down to just saying, okay, Kansas State, Boise State, was because both of my receivers coaches told me, you're playing, there's no red shirt, be ready to go. So there was even some all-star games I didn't play in high school because they were like, if you get hurt, you're red
Yeah,
shirt.
you're not, yeah.
So I just sat out of those. But Kansas State's selling point was Darren Sproles. They said, you're going to play running back, you're going to play receiver, we're going to move you around, you're going to do everything. And so I was like, all right, that's cool. The other thing is I didn't want to play football in Texas. I wanted to get away, kind of actually get this experience. I didn't want my parents just to be, accessible. I wanted to kind of just grow up. So
Really?
if I go to Kansas State, it's like a 13-hour drive. So they're not just right there, but I can fly home.
Yeah.
The plus with Kansas State, though, was my parents could go to a lot of games because I played Baylor, I played Texas Tech, at the time, you got A&M just went to the SEC, but you had Texas, you have TCU. So it's like, okay, I can play there. They can get to games. So my mom obviously was pushing
Yeah, I
Kansas
bet.
State envelope really heavy.
Manhattan, Kansas. I wonder what type of town. I've never been there.
It's just kind of like Boise, but
Yeah.
smaller, I'd say.
Okay.
Smaller vibe at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, this is almost, 10 years ago. And then Boise State, obviously, that was the golden years. So I'm watching them go 11-1.
Yeah.
Win Fiesta Bowls. I actually went to the TCU Fiesta Bowl against Boise State because someone I knew had TCU tickets. So I was like, oh, I'll go. We drove, which is 19 hours. Terrible. Went to that. So that was my first experience seeing Boise State play. And I was like, all right, I had never even knew where Boise even was. So sophomore in high school, you can see that. And then, start recruiting process. Then I get the offer, and then I'm like, okay, then you start watching them play more, and it's like, okay, they got smaller guys, they got taller guys, they do a lot of different stuff, they throw the ball, and so
they reached out to you. Did you reach out to them after watching them play at all, or they reached out?
No, they in Texas. It's like the way they do it, and a lot of coaches have told me this. My head coach in high school actually no longer coaches there. He left for college. He coached at Alabama for a few years, but he was the tight ends coach, Drew Sabota. But he told me what they do is, like, when coaches come to see him, the recruiters say, like, who's the best players in the conference, not necessarily who's on your team. Like, who is it tough going against? And Choate, actually, one of my favorite coaches of all time, who never coached.
We got to talk about that. Here we go. Yeah.
Choate actually recruited me. Choate was, like, one of the big reasons why I came, because when he recruited me, he got to my high school. He said, I asked every coach in the district, and they said you were the hardest, like the biggest problem they had. And so Choate told me, I don't know if the receivers coach wants you. I haven't talked to him. I haven't went back to Boise and talked to him, but I want to offer you just to come return kicks, because that's all he coached was special teams. Linebackers coach, right? So he said, you got an offer. If you want it, it's yours. I'll go back and talk to the receivers coach. Obviously, a week goes by. I get a call from Prince. He wants me too, but Choate was where it all started. So, yeah, me and Choate talk often, and
to this day.
Oh, to this day, yeah. And I never got coached by him, but it was just a relationship we built through the recruiting process. I was pretty pissed when he was gone by the time I got here, but he always did tell me, even through building that relationship, I want to be a position coach. I want to work my way up, and so that was his way to get it. He left with P's, and so
So he went to Florida.
Yeah, and so I got it. It made sense, but now he's kind of back.
Yeah, so tell us. So we've actually on the pod we've talked about Coach Choate a little bit. And so last time around when Coach Avalos got the job, there was a lot of vocal ex-players really campaigning for Coach Choate, right? And then this time around, we saw at Mountain West Media Days that he came out and said he wanted the Boise State job. Yeah. He was pretty upset he didn't get it. He was pretty adamant about that. But obviously I'm not going to ask you about Danielson versus Choate, but what are your thoughts on Choate?
I can't say enough good stuff about him.
Yeah.
That's all players. All players say that.
He's a player's coach, He hears you, you have that relationship. It's not just, straight business. He came from the Pete staff, Obviously he heard a lot of what Pete said, and he had those relationships, and it's different. You play different, when you have a guy in your corner like that. So, yeah, I'm excited for him.
Do you think – so he's with Nevada now, right? And I've seen it before, but you get passed up for a job, and it turns into a revenge, right?
Yeah.
Like Boise State, I'm coming after you.
It's for sure circled.
You think so?
Circled, yeah. I mean, it was circled. It's been circled for 15 years, right?
Right.
Nevada.
But I just was wondering, I just see some of the posts that Nevada will put on Twitter, the real blue or whatever it is, right? So, yeah, it sounds like that.
Oh, yeah.
Probably if he was offered Boise State now, he may say, I'm good.
Yeah, I think now.
Is it gone that far, you think?
When you look at it conference-wise, you're kind of at an even standpoint. So
yeah.
It happens. You see, the guys go from Utah State to Colorado State.
Norvell left from Nevada to Colorado State.
You see it happen.
Because Nevada's, the support for their football program hasn't been great up to this point. But we'll see what Choate does.
Yeah, you see it happen, but I don't know. I think if he goes somewhere else, it'll be a power for it.
Yeah.
So aside from Boise State, are you rooting for Nevada, would you say? Or would you say you're rooting for Coach Choate?
I wouldn't say I'm rooting for Nevada.
Right. That's a tough thing to say.
I hope he is successful, though.
Yeah.
Successful enough to get a
real job?
A better job.
Yeah.
On our last pod, Mark had some choice words about Nevada, and they actually got a lot of viewing on this.
He just said it. If he has success at Nevada, that's a heck of a job, and he'll be out of there soon.
That's not and lose the Boise State game every year, and I have no problem with that.
Yeah. He's not going to stay there. If he gets them to 7-5, he will get a better job. I'm pretty sure, just because where they're at. But anyway,
are you queuing up something, Brandon?
Uh-oh. It's not staying. No respectable coach is staying in Reno.
Who
They're
said that?
bottom of the league in funding.
What is this?
Their stadium, like it's like
Like a high school stadium.
it's horrible. They had
a lot of people weren't too.
dude. No, it's
taking
true
names.
though.
Yeah,
He's
I
not
mean,
staying.
not
No.
a lot of good words for Nevada on that one, Mark. You know what? One thing we haven't talked about. Some big news that came out of Boise State
Oh
recently.
yeah, we've been talking.
Yeah.
Now that we're done with our intro,
Hey, Shane. Now that we're
seriously, that's the first.
I don't know where you.
We got like 15 minutes. He's got to get out
Well,
of here.
we need to do the trivia. What do
Yep.
you, what
We
do you
got
wanna
to
do
talk
first?
about
All right, JD.
JD.
He's staying. Jeremiah Dickey.
Do we know how much he's getting paid? By the way,
That hasn't come out yet.
nobody knows.
Yeah. No one
Do you
knows.
know Jeremiah?
I've met him.
Met him?
You know, not-
He doesn't respond to us.
He's never come
If
on the
you
pod.
I don't have a huge relationship with him. Obviously, same with Spencer. Like I've talked to Spencer a ton.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was there. I took my nephew there. He offered.
Yeah.
Him. He was actually the only head coach that offered my nephew face to face. Everyone else was like DeMarco Murray offered him at Oklahoma, but it was like the running backs coach,
Yeah.
not the head coach. So I liked Spencer a lot.
Yeah.
To say I've never actually been coached by him and never kind
Yeah.
of been in the room with him to that capacity, but yeah, I like him.
You think we got a shot at bringing it back to something close to the
The glory days.
glory days?
I think they have the personnel to make some noise.
Okay.
For sure.
I feel like this is the year. I really do. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm just
We'll
saying,
see.
like,
Back to Jeremiah.
It's
though.
gotta be.
Back to Jeremiah.
Jeremiah,
right?
Jeremiah.
So, because we've been talking 3 podcasts in a row. Is he going to leave? Is he not? In fact,
Houston.
Houston. So you're from Houston. In fact, I gotta read something from friend of the show at Houston.
No,
had
acquaintance of
something.
the show.
But,
Houston.
Quaintance, yeah, he got
Would
demoted.
you, I mean, like you have an intimate knowledge of Houston and Boise. When that came out, were you like, yeah, he's got to go? Or do you think, I mean, what were your thoughts on that?
It seems like he's built some relationships here that obviously, and I think he likes living here. I think that is a big point of it. Obviously, because I know Houston probably offered some money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They have some big money down there now.
a little more than Boise State.
A little bit more.
But living in Houston, that's a nice city. And if you have a lot of
it's
money.
Great city, but not the best place to raise a family. So
Yeah.
that played a role in me even staying here.
Really?
Yeah.
How big is Houston? Pretty big, right?
Huge.
I mean, to give you an example, I graduated with 895 kids
In your class.
in my class, not my school.
Not your school. So big.
Huge. 4,500 in each
Little
school.
little bit bigger
Are
than
you
Boise.
serious?
4,500. You graduate. And you
Ours was what, like
see
2,000?
people you never saw and met
The whole
before.
school.
Yeah, whole school.
Yeah.
You've never
In high
even
school,
know.
people you never met
That's-
before. Yeah, it happens.
Does Jeremiah staying?
No
does
wonder you have
what's it
15
change?
football teams.
What is so Jeremiah
You gotta
Dickey is
think-
staying for a few years. What is that? Everyone's like, oh yes, he's staying. We're excited, right?
Spencer
I'm excited.
said he's a
Right.
10 out of 10 guy.
Okay, so what does it change? Does it
do you
change
mean,
wins
what
and
it change?
loses? Does it change? We're going to get into a power conference
I-
now.
I
What does it
think-
change?
I think everything.
Okay,
I think everything has just been going this direction, right?
it keeps
Yes.
the momentum.
Yeah, I mean, just look at all the changes that have been made since he's been hired. Everything's been going in the right direction.
Well, I think what you said too about last year with the quarterback stuff, the consistency, that was the big
Yeah.
problem. I think keeping JD here, we need as much consistency as we can get, right? It's like whether it's coaches, whether it's athletic directors. So I think that helps
a man
the
of the
trajectory.
people.
Yeah.
Well, if you're talking to donors and you're saying this is the vision, it's not, you got to prosecute that vision.
Prosecute, law
Prosecute
firm.
the vision.
Law
I'm
firm.
saying you should trademark that. You got to say, yeah, I mean, if you're doing 10 years, 15 years in the future and you leave after 2 years, that donor could lose a lot of momentum, a lot of enthusiasm, I guess, and giving money to the program. I mean, you got a couple big projects going on.
Yep.
And if you're Dickey, you go and you say, look, I want autonomy from Trump. I want to run this thing how I want to run it. I want to hire the people I want to hire, and I'm going to keep working. And I've done it. He's done a really great job
Yeah, he
so
has.
far.
Yeah, he has. I'm not
He
questioning
probably
that.
got every single thing he asked for,
would hope
minus
It's
a
hard
couple
to start
million.
over.
That's
That's all you
Yeah.
can do.
Yeah.
Starting over, building a relationship, starting all the
Yeah.
way over.
So obviously net positive. We're excited.
If I'm
Yeah.
him, I'm
JD.
saying I want a helicopter. I want I want to go up to
Say whatever you
McCall in
want.
the summers every
Yeah.
day or whatever that is.
Back to
Well,
the-
good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. Honestly, I think we're better with him.
Quick on the Houston. I have a brother that lives in Houston, and the southern part.
Any names?
I'm northern.
Yeah,
I'm
southern
more
part
spring.
towards like Galveston.
Oh yeah,
I think
he is southern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Galveston?
He
Is
said
that where he lives?
So no.
It's like
But
one
I
of the
think
best
he used to
beaches
work.
in the world.
That's hot, dude. Galveston's hot.
He's in a nice. He's a doctor. He's in a nice suburb there.
Okay.
But
Friend of the
He
show
was
disappeared
friend of the
for a
show.
few years.
I kind of forget
Shane's
that.
talk
giving
about
me
it.
the money look.
I just want you guys to make sure when you post this, you show a picture of Galveston.
Is that right?
It's nice.
Is it
The
nice?
beach. Absolutely not.
He said
Oh,
there's
it's not really?
Oh, it's rough.
I've been there.
That's our only beach, so we take real pride in it. That's all we have, though. That's all we have.
He said down in Houston, no one. He said he was in relation to Dickey and going to Houston. He said down in Houston, no one really cares. He lives there right now. He said no one really cares about the University of Houston.
What?
Because what do you have around you, though? You have
Professional?
Texas.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. You have TCU, private school. A lot of funds there.
Yeah.
SMU, also downtown Dallas. It's just so many schools.
Trivia.
So
How many
many
D1 football teams are in Texas?
Like 7 or 8, probably.
13.
That many. Wow.
Everything's around you.
Yeah.
You got UTSA. They've been really good lately.
Yep.
And
North
so many
Texas.
schools.
UTEP.
They don't care about.
Rice. Everyone
Rice?
forgets about the
UTEP
little
kicked
brother.
our butts.
Rice
Rice.
is the little brother of all
Are they?
Yeah.
We used to compete against Rice like way
They were in
back
the WAC
before you
before-
you were born. We were watching games. We were like playing Rice.
Yeah.
Well, a friend of the show should check in every now and then if he
He's
wants to
checking
maintain
in.
a
He
friend of
said-
the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
We got correspondence on the ground.
No.
So they didn't want Dickey?
I don't know if they
Or nobody
wanted him or
cared
not.
if they wanted
We don't
Dickey.
know if they offered him or not. We don't know. They
The
still
thing about
haven't
it
hired
is,
anybody.
it's a big deal for us, but maybe in Houston, Dickey didn't carry enough name.
Maybe not.
for them to carry.
We don't know.
Little fish in the ocean.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Brian was saying. But anyways, what do we got?
We got 5 questions.
We got 5 questions before Shane has to leave.
Yes.
Shane, can he go for 5 for 5?
What's the record? We haven't done this for a while.
I think 3 or
3 out of
4.
5
No one's
is-
done 5.
Oh, jeez.
No, he's done 5.
Guys,
Do you
it's
know
not-
calculus?
Did you bring a graphing calculator with you? It is time for 5 questions with Shane Williams-Rhodes. Shane, question number 1. We've established this already. You're from Texas, Houston area. And people from Texas are super proud. Are you one of those people? Do you fly the Texas flag?
I am definitely one of those people.
Okay.
Texas is a great state. I love Texas.
And we took Idaho history. You probably took Texas history, so this may be hard for us, easy for you. Before Texas became a state, it was known as the Republic of Texas. Who was the first president of the Republic of Texas?
Republic of Texas. Wow.
You're gonna have to give. I'm gonna have to
That's
give
a
you a good old
tough
pass on that
question.
one.
You don't know?
What year was that?
Are you from Spring, Texas?
I am.
Which is just outside of Houston.
It's northern Houston. Yeah.
So Houston, you know about Houston.
Oh, it has to do with Houston.
Sam
It's
Houston.
not Sam Houston, is it?
Sam Houston.
Oh,
The big statue.
Wow. Sam Houston was the
Not
first
big statue.
president.
Of the Republic of Texas. So before it became a state.
So the Texas, the
That's
Mexican,
why Texas is like, they have their own like Pledge of Allegiance.
They're pretty
I
independent.
didn't know that. I thought that was normal. I thought everyone had their own.
No, yeah.
I've only,
Wait, you pledge allegiance to Texas?
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
I pledge allegiance to the Texas.
Is that what it is? I didn't know
I
that.
thought everyone did. I thought Idaho had
We
one, too,
pledge
but-
allegiance to Idaho?
Yeah, my kids.
No, yeah.
My daughter's only 5, so I haven't.
Did you teach her the
I've been
Texas?
waiting to see if she's gonna tell me there's Idaho one. I
Yeah.
thought everyone had
No,
one.
it's not.
Let me tell you,
Yeah.
no.
2 of them. You do, US
Well,
one, and then you.
Did you have to say both or just the
You do
Texas?
both. You stand up
Oh,
and do
good
both.
for
Wow.
Texas. Yeah, another reason to love Texas, man.
Don't they always like threaten they're going to break away from the?
We are-
I
we
would.
are our
Idaho
own
would
country.
go with
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah.
I would vote to go
Idaho
with
would
Texas
with
if
Texas.
Idaho's there.
I think a lot of people would vote for that.
So judges, we give that one to him, 1 for 1.
Yeah, yeah.
let's
Hey,
do it.
why not? Yeah, that was a tough one, man. Come
I mean,
on,
just
that was
think
a
of the
tough one.
ridicule he would have received from his hometown.
Oh, Sam.
Family.
you know, there's a lot of them
Sam
listening.
That's also
to.
Yeah.
one of the schools we forgot to name.
Sam Houston, Sam Houston State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a
The
nat-
president.
they have a
The
national
former
championship.
president.
Oh, there you go, dude.
All right, number 2.
I had no idea.
You have a hyphenated last name. Name a professional athlete with also a hyphenated last name.
Reese Jones-Drew.
Reese Jones, MJD. Easy.
2 for 2.
That's easy. There's a lot.
Juju Smith-Schuster, we would have
There's a
accepted
lot.
that.
There's a
Valdez,
lot.
yeah.
In any sport?
Sure.
Okay. We did 2 for 2. You could do it. You're still on the
See what we got
road.
here.
You're
That
still
Sam
on
Houston
it.
one is-
Remember
Anybody
BJ's
remember BJ Raines?
Oh,
BJ was just sweating.
He was sweating.
He just didn't
and
wanna
he gets
go
the
over
first
it.
one right. And he's like, I got all 5, baby. I can do
Went
all
deep
5.
in the bag. I'm hoping the Sam Houston was the hardest one.
That was actually really
Let's
hard.
see.
True or false? So Brandon and I went to elementary school together all
Yes,
the
we
way
did.
through high school. Mark came later,
'Kay.
middle school. So Brandon and I have known each other since 1st grade. True or false? We have kissed the same girl.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be true.
Yep. Mm.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Is that something to like clap at? Like when
Let's
we
go.
are serious? was a small town.
Small town, man. I
It was
mean,
a small
it's bound to
town.
happen.
Eagle, Idaho, 20 years ago.
Yeah,
I didn't
it was
believe
different,
it.
man.
Yeah.
Our kids look very similar. It's just like not a good.
It was also not at the same time.
That is really good to know.
I'm gonna cheer that one. Like, that's good that we did. That's like, yeah, we were friends.
no.
We're like, hey, are you? Is that closed? Is that? These are easy questions, man. Come on.
Yeah,
like,
come on.
Maybe
Three
it's the
for
jet
three.
lag
Rookies
coming
You're
back
making
from.
up for the Sam Houston
3
question.
for 3.
Maybe we scratched that one.
No, that's it. That's on.
Maybe it's the jet lag coming back from Europe.
Shane could be the first.
Okay, we're
5 for
going.
5.
We're going geography again.
'Kay.
Capital or not a capital? Atlanta.
Well, not a capital.
It's a capital.
Oh wait.
Really?
It's not Augusta.
I thought it was.
Was it?
Oh boy. Was this a Chat
How
GPT
about
thing?
that?
Wait,
Hold on.
did you say
It
it's
is,
not?
right?
I don't think it
Atlanta-
is.
Atlanta. He
Atlanta's
said
not a
it's
cap-
not. You said
But
it.
it was not.
You said it was
Yeah,
not.
because it's Augusta, right?
Well,
Well, then
he
he
said
would have
it's
got
not.
it right.
Atlanta.
Atlanta is a capital?
Yeah.
oh,
Atlanta is
hold
the
on.
capital of
It's not
U.S. state of
Augusta?
Georgia.
Hold on, hold on.
No, it's not Augusta.
Wait, what?
You threw me off, Mark, because I was like, I did this before.
How did I throw you off? I thought
Because
it
you're
was.
like, no, it's not. But Atlanta is the capital of Georgia.
geography.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Really?
Unless Google's lying to me, which Google never lies.
You could still get 4.
I'll
4 or
take
5.
four.
Hey, this could be the record. Here it
Take
is.
4.
We need-
Which ingredient is more unwelcome in a cookie? Raisins or nuts?
I have my answer to
Here's
this.
the problem. I don't like either.
So which is
you're
more?
gonna
The
Tough
wife.
spot.
Think about.
But this is according to what I think.
think about Matt.
Raisins.
It's raisins.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Wow, 4 for 5.
New record,
Unbelievable
New record.
right
New
here.
SWR. Was
It's
4 for
raisins
5.
every time.
Yeah.
I put down a
Raisins are
cookie if it has
horrible.
raisins. Guaranteed.
What's a good cookie with a nut? Like macadamia,
macadamia
nut?
nut.
I love
White
those.
chocolate macadamia nuts
Yeah.
are amazing.
Those
There is
are-
no good cookie
Or like
with
the
a raisin.
raspberry white chocolate macadamia.
I'd
nut.
accept
I
it.
just want you guys to know when I go home and we get to that point of geography, I'm going to learn the capitals with my daughter.
Yeah, there you go. When
hey,
she's in 4th grade.
my kids-
What is it?
I have 4 kids. Youngest 9. They don't know state capitals.
Oh, yeah. It's
Really? They don't do that anymore?
Not really.
Well,
Yeah,
of
they
course,
do.
we
Mine
had a.
Mine
most
did.
states I can name more cities than the actual capital because it's, there's just so many.
You know, my son just got through 4th grade, and I was the one in charge of capital testings.
Like
You
you were
didn't even-
sitting
I was
there doing-
testing them, on
Oh,
like
really?
capitals, and so like kind of
wow.
enjoyed that.
And you didn't think Atlanta was the capital either, right?
I don't think I would have got
Trick
that.
question.
I don't think I would have got that. Yeah. There's a couple states that kind of messed up. Like Texas is one of them. I always think the biggest city should be the capital.
I agree.
Let's just
Should
make
be,
it
but-
easy.
Yeah,
However,
like Salem, Oregon. Come on.
Yeah.
I was
that's
born
lame.
in the capital of Texas, so, I'm okay with
Austin.
Austin.
it. Yeah,
Austin's a cool town.
it is.
That's what they say.
That's the fastest growing city. Boise's number 2.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I don't know how Texas, on a different note, has kept home prices low
How?
with the
Oh, no,
amount of
it's not low
California.
anymore. They're
going
there.
up?
They're there. My mom's a real estate agent in Texas. It's
Oh,
getting real dicey now. Because
Because-
people are so used to it being so cheap, and now it's not, and it's
That was here.
Is she in the Houston area?
oh yeah, she's in Houston. She's in Spring, home of Simone Biles.
Oh,
Hey,
there you
now.
go.
Shout out
Hey,
to
okay.
Do
Well,
you, do you know her?
I do not know her, but
Any,
when I go
like,
back home
connections?
this next time, my daughter will be going to her gym. So
you should take a picture with Simone because she's 4'9", right? Or
I
she's
actually will look tall in that picture.
I was gonna say it's like yeah. Have you seen that picture of Simone Biles and Shaq?
Oh my, that's crazy.
No.
It's
pretty.
That's a real picture, right?
That's a real picture,
Legit.
yeah.
It looks
That
photoshopped, but it's
totally
real.
looks photoshopped.
Well, that's too bad. I always thought Texas home prices were low. But I mean, the amount of Californians that have moved in, and Elon Musk took like all of his companies over
Yeah.
to Texas, and so it's like
in Austin.
there's
Yeah.
just no
Austin.
escaping it anymore.
Yeah.
I guess
No.
escaping it.
Yeah, well, Shane, we know you got to get out of here, but thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Great time talking with you. Boise State football, dance, training, all the stuff you got going on.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before you sign off here?
Atlanta is the capital of Georgia.
RareAcademyIdaho.com.
Sir.
RareAcademyIdaho.com.
Follow them on Instagram, on Twitter. Go to their
Let's
website.
do it. Yep.
Follow us.
They'll take you all the way.
Subscribe.
Your
like.
kid's guaranteed to get a D1 scholarship. If he's
It's a guarantee. Fast or slow, they'll make it.
yeah.
Hey, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.